Welcome, welcome, welcome to Biz Dev Live. I am so excited today to bring you Curt Mercadante. He is going to help you bring some freedom to your life, right? So you could be grinding it out in your business, you could be killing it, but can you step away from that business? Can you actually attain freedom? Are you even getting to that place where that's even a possibility? Success in your business. We're going to be talking about attention and accuracy and alignment and authenticity in your business, the 4 pillars. Excellent article on LinkedIn. If you type in Curt's name and the 4 pillars of authority brand, you can go check that out. Great article that I was checking out this morning before we were jumping on, and I was loving it. So stick with me. If you're looking for some success and freedom in your small business, if you're an entrepreneur, that's what you're looking for, this is going to be the show for you. If you're in here, if you're watching live, get into the comments. This is your opportunity watching these shows live to ask your questions and get the impact that you can get from asking an expert like Curt to help you live here. So stick with us. I'm going to play the Biz Dev Live theme and we'll be right back.
Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time, live. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration, Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live, business development, not even selling it. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is business development, not even selling it. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. This is business development, not even selling it.
So I'm so happy to have Curt. I'm going to put him up here on the screen for us here. Curt is founder of Merc Enterprises, LLC, where he helps entrepreneurs grow their businesses in a way that allows them the freedom and fulfillment they desire. For 25 years, Curt has counseled small businesses, entrepreneurs, as well as some of the largest corporations and associations in the country. He's built 3 profitable businesses, including a 7-figure PR and ad agency. Curt has trained, coached, and delivered keynotes and workshops to clients across the globe. He is a certified human behavior consultant, founder of the Freedom Media Network, and author of the best-selling book, 5 Pillars of the Freedom Lifestyle. Curt and his wife, Julie, currently live in Sedona, Arizona with their 4 children. He's got a lot on his plate. Please welcome to the show, the amazing Curt. Now help me with the pronouncement of the last name, because I felt myself struggling through it in the intro here. But Curt Mercadante, did I get that right?
There you go.
There we go.
Perfect. As we talked about online, if people are 60% close, it's better than yeah. First of all, thank you for having me on here. I love the opportunity. I got to ask, was that you rapping? Is that you?
No. Listen, I had my one moment in high school. I had my MC name, MC Bulk, but that does not carry forward. I moved over to the DJ land, pushing the buttons rather than being on stage. Hilarious. So, and I think everybody's happier for it.
Well, that song's going to be in my head all day.
Good. All right. So tell people, Curt, how you help people right now. Just give a little brief little detail on how you actually help people, and then we'll jump into the backstory here.
Yeah, the key word, as you mentioned, is freedom, and I have 2 tracks. One is helping people build a freedom business. The other track is helping people who maybe aren't building a business, aren't entrepreneurs, build freedom in their lives, mentally, physically, and spiritually.
Love that. I love that. And I know that that's a big part of your story. So we're going to jump into it here. Now, you wanted to be an entrepreneur, and this show is for entrepreneurs. We're educating entrepreneurs. You wanted to be an entrepreneur from the age of 9. So tell me a little bit about that. 9 years old. What was going through your head?
Yeah. So it was probably about 83, 84. And my dad had been president of large companies. He worked on the space program. He designed fighter jet technology, all these cool things. But in his mid 50s, he found himself out of a job. And early 80s to mid 80s, the economy wasn't exactly all the way there yet. He never complained about ageism. You know, people didn't want to hire a mid 50s former president into their company who might retire soon. He never complained. You know what he did? He got a newspaper route in his mid 50s. The former president of all these big companies got a paper route. He would get me up at 3 or 4 in the morning. I hated it. In the icy cold tundra of suburban Chicago, we'd get up at 3 or 4 in the morning. We'd go, I'd have black ink all over my hands, and we would stuff newspapers into these bags and go deliver it. He'd drive the station wagon, and I would throw these things out. And he had been president before that of Chicago Gear Works. They made gears. So there was like all this oil and everything in the back, and I was just covered in ink and oil. It was a great lesson in terms of hard work and doing what you need to do. However, he never complained. What he did was, well, I'm not going to be a newspaper delivery man for the rest of my life. I'm in my mid 50s. He reinvented himself in his mid 50s for the first time in his life as an entrepreneur, became a management consultant, started his own company, and went on to have a 20 plus year career after that, after his mid 50s as an entrepreneur. At 9 years old, that was a very important time. That's what I saw. You know, you're apt at that point in your life for that programming. And it was great programming to see him not complain and not say, well, I'm in my mid 50s, it's too late for me. He reinvented himself as an entrepreneur, and I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to work for myself. I wanted to have that freedom. I didn't want to be at the whim like he was to be fired in my mid 50s. I wanted to be in control. And so that stuck with me forever. And in my late 20s, I was in corporate America working in the 9 to 5, and I said, enough with this. And I quit and started my own company, a PR and ad agency that I scaled to 7 figures, well, over 5 years, and then over 14 years, had that agency for quite a bit of time.
I love that. And I think about this. I know you have 4 children in your house. I got 4 children with my wife here.
Nice.
They're very excited about stuff going on. I'm doing Biz Dev Live. I got the little one, the 10-year-old Biz Dev Live, right? He's coming up. So you see, dads, you see your dad doing stuff, you see your mom doing stuff, and you want to emulate that. Do you have that going on a little bit in your household?
Absolutely. We homeschool our kids. Actually, we unschool our kids. People say, what's that like? I said, it's like a startup accelerator. My daughter is almost 16. She had her own company at 11, a dog walking business. She has a job now because we teach her the value of money and what money really means, which money for money's sake and an obsession with money, can become, people often misquote the Bible and say money's the root of all evil. That's not even the line. It's the love of money. When you become obsessed with money, and it's not even about more money. It's people
when you love money more than people, right?
Exactly. And also when you become so obsessed with money that you spend your life playing defense and everything is about 59 and a half when you can cash out, or 65 and how much money I have in my bank account. And I know so many people, I've had people in my family who've, become disassociated with their children because they were so focused on leaving money to their children that they failed to be a present parent. So the greatest gift I can give is being present and also showing them that money is an energy exchange. We may have a different form of money in 5 or 10 years, or by the time they're adults, whatever it is, it's about value for value, impact for impact. That's what entrepreneurship and business is all about.
Yeah, I love that. And I know there's people watching on LinkedIn right now. If you're watching on LinkedIn, let us know where you're viewing from and let us know what lessons you learned from mom and dad. How did that influence your journey? I know it influenced mine. My father was an apartment renovator. And so I don't always think about him as an entrepreneur, but he worked for himself. And I think for me, it's a lot of lessons of learning, like, okay, this is what I don't want to do. This is how not to do it, unfortunately, right? For some of the things, but there was definitely the pieces, he was a single dad for me. So the time he got to spend with me, because he wasn't clocking in and clocking out and he had that flexibility there, it was a big deal. I don't think, even you saying it now makes me think more about it than I ever thought about it before. Just like, that really did influence the way I act. And we get some of these money lessons from our parents. And I know from my daughter, same kind of deal. I'm trying to teach her, listen, 50% of your paycheck, let's go. Because if I had saved 50% of everything I earned from a young age, oh my goodness, where would I be now? And that having that financial freedom, let's get into that piece of the story, because you got to a point, you pulled this business together that's amazing, 7-figure PR and ad agency. And then what happened?
Yeah, about a little over 4.5 years ago, I had been in denial for about 8 years of that 14. And, we talk about lessons we learn from our parents, and a lot of people think that their kids only learn from the words. No, they learn from your actions, good or bad. From age 1 on, we're programmed. By the time we're 35 years old, 95% of our cognition is our subconscious programming. So if you find yourself at 35 or 40, and I have relatives who do this, and you watch Shark Tank, right? And you just reactively say, those fat cats, don't they have enough money? That's likely programming from your parents, your peers, your teachers, whatever it is. And so I had learned this work ethic from my dad. And the problem, he grew up in the Great Depression. He was a tough dude. And us guys have a way of taking that lesson from it. And I had that lesson. You see, I was in denial for 8 years of the 14 because I felt guilty for wanting more. I wanted to be more present. I wanted to be in better shape. I wanted to be more spiritually present, spiritually balanced, spiritually aligned. But I said, you know what? I'm making money. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. We have the nice car, the big house. I'm doing what I was told I was supposed to do by society as a man. And so I felt guilty for wanting more. I felt guilty for wanting to shut it down. $1.5 million. What are you, stupid, Curt? You can hear those societal voices. And so we're often more motivated, I read about this in my book, by the perceived pain of changing in your life than we are about the pursuit of happiness. So I wanted more, but I thought, wow, that's going to cause a lot of pain. I'm going to give up money. I got to fire clients, all this conflict. So I put it off and put it off and put it off till the pain of the anxiety attacks, waking up in the morning, every single morning, anxious. So anxious that if I go for a walk and miss a phone call, I'm going to get yelled at by my clients. So anxious and playing defense, $1.5 million. I got to play defense. How am I going to keep this up for the next 10, 20 years? I wasn't present. I was on a cocktail of prescription drugs. I was 60 pounds heavier. And I woke up on that Tuesday morning. It was a Thanksgiving week. I was supposed to have the week off. All my clients knew it. My team members knew it. They didn't care. Well, I know you have the week off, Curt, but hop on this call. And I was supposed to go up to DC to meet with this client the week after for this god-awful 8-hour planning session. And I woke up on that Tuesday morning and I said, this is the thought that came into my head. If my plane goes down on the way to that meeting next Tuesday, am I happy where I'm at in my life? It was a simple question. The most powerful question I ever asked myself. I often say the most important conversation we have each day is the one we have with ourselves before we even open our eyes. The answer was no. And I said, I'm done. And I went to my wife and I said, Julie, I'm done. I'm firing all my clients today. And, us guys think we can hide things, right? Her response, she said, oh, it's about time. And I fired all my clients on that day and I started to zero. Over the next 6 months, I actually brought my bank account to $250. I brought it down to zero. And then I made 6 figures that year. And then I grew from there. And so, when you talk about finances, I could have played defense and I could have been so focused on how much money is in my bank account. And I coach people and I train people and I see people on LinkedIn and they're trapped in what I call a comfort zone of misery for years because it's, well, be responsible. You got to be responsible. Oh my gosh, I could make a change, but that might cost me $5,000. That might cost me $10,000. Yeah. So you play defense. And so you have the wrong relationship with money, that it's all about defense. And if you only play defense in life, you're never going to score any points.
I'm fascinated by argument fallacies. I think I'm using the correct terminology here, but you get into different things and you have fallacies that are going on. And there's this common gambling fallacy, right? So you go in and because you've put a lot into the pot, you say you're too deep to back out now, right? I can't fold my cards. Right. I'm too deep in. I gotta keep throwing money in, hoping that they'll think that I'm, I got this big hand. You're bluffing away, right? And it's the gambling fallacy, and I think so many people fall into that trap. I'm so deeply invested, I can't back out now. I can't do it, right? I'm too deep in. I'm too deep invested. If I back out now, I won't look good. I won't look cool. There'll be shame involved, right? It's all these different things. And so, what was your solution?
My solution was, I'm going to do whatever the heck I want to do. It's looking at your days We're really good at really clearly defining the work or career we want and then shoehorning in our self-care and our relationships. And one of the biggest societal pieces of BS programming that's out there is this notion of quote unquote work-life balance. There's no such thing as work-life balance. And a lot of people hear me say that and they're like, oh, because you're all in on work. No, there's not work and life. There's just life, right? You can't separate out the two like a seesaw, right? Well, I'm going to put it all into work and I'm going to ignore my wife and my kids and my husband and my self-care. That's what I did for a long time. And a lot of people look at work-life balance as this, well, I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to ignore my self-care and my relationships for 2 weeks because I got to get this project done. But you know what? When it's all over, it's all going to balance out. I'm going to come home. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to take my wife or husband out on a date. If that happens, which is a big if, that 2 weeks turns into 6 months, turns into 5 years, turns into the 65-year plan. When I'm 65, we're going to travel the world. It's all going to balance out. Over the last 2 years, how many people have said, oh my gosh, we hit 65. We wanted to travel the world and now we're victims of COVID. You're not a victim of COVID. You're a victim of waiting. Just in my family, people got to between 64 and 67 years old, heart attack, knee replacement, stroke, cancer. So all that time spent waiting, and they were at the casino table, like you said, I can't back out. I can't back out. There's no guarantee, Cameron, that you and I are going to be here on this earth later this afternoon, much less tomorrow.
Right.
I had a relative who died in her sleep in the first week of December, 53 years old, my sister-in-law. They had such big plans. She was working with my godson about planning his he was going to propose on Christmas Eve, less than a month later. You have these big plans and we assume that tomorrow is going to be here or next month or 20 years from now or 5 years is going to be here. There's no guarantee. And I don't say that shouldn't be a depressing thought. It should be the most empowering thought you have each day. In fact, that is what motivated me to say, these clients are not me. These clients are an illusion that I've created. And when you realize that, I like to say, one of my quotes, I don't know where I heard it, that we are consciousness just wearing a spacesuit made of skin. But we become so focused.
That was extra deep right there, Curt.
Well,
say that again. I don't know if everybody's going to get that on the first go around.
Yeah, we are consciousness wearing a spacesuit of skin. What I mean by that is all the cars, everything else, you're going to be able to, I don't know, whatever you believe in, God, the universe, heaven, reincarnation, you ain't bringing that car with you. You're not bringing that money with you, And
I think that, on the deeper plane, right, what all this provides is this perspective that, what you might be caught up in thinking about in this moment just isn't that important, right? It's just in the long scheme of things. And I think about especially having kids, putting insurance and different things in place, the weight that lifts off of you by taking action and making sure that you have some of these future things just sort of mapped out. All right, I'm taking care of this. I got these basic pieces in place, and now I can go to work. Right now, I can get it done. And I just want to take a moment.
Yeah.
StreamYard isn't popping the comments in here so I can display them, but Sharon Schaffhauser in the comments, we are momentary miracles. Each breath is a blessing. She's tuning in from BC Interior in Canada. Shout out to my Canadian peeps here. Love that comment. And I got a Facebook comment that popped in. Mark Sibley's, you can't take it with you, right? So absolutely, got some people smelling what the Rock is cooking over here, Curt. We got you. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, it's insurance and the retirement and all that. And I'm not telling people to be irresponsible. But, a lot of people are saying, oh my gosh, in the middle of a pandemic, you sold and donated everything you owned and you traveled the country in the midst of this. How do you afford that? What do you do? I like to break things down from a monetary perspective. And this isn't a judgment of anyone, but into a Dave Ramsey mentality and a Robert Kiyosaki mentality. And just be aware of which you are. None's good or bad.
Yeah. And, but I know for anybody that missed those references, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? And Dave Ramsey, if you haven't heard of him, he has some great financial advice on YouTube. I don't want to assume that everybody's heard of these folks, because I know,
absolutely.
I think one of the interesting things, and I know you're going to get into it in terms of talking about attention.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you think this person is big and popular and everybody knows it, there's a whole section of the world that has no idea, which is why this world is an abundant place, and getting the attention is such a big deal. But I just want to add that layer of context on there.
Yeah.
Keep going.
No. Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you for that. And, I had a good friend who was a Dave Ramsey kind of acolyte, and Dave Ramsey talks a lot about savings and a lot about putting the nickels away and all that. And there's nothing wrong with that. And this isn't a judgment, but my friend was putting off every vacation, every expenditure in order to pay off his house quicker. Okay. And I asked him, I said, what if you die next week? Does that really matter? And he said, yeah, you're right. I've been putting off everything, right? Now, he may have been taking Dave Ramsey out of context. Robert Kiyosaki has a line that fuels me every single day. So I don't worry about savings. I don't worry about the money. Here's why. When you worry about it, you put an energy blockage. Arnold Patton, I had Dr. Joe Vitale, who's a law of attraction expert, was on the movie The Secret. And when he was on my show, he shared this quote from Arnold Patton, which said, humans are very good at building limitations, but we don't create abundance. We create limitations. And the way I do that is that abundance is in flow. Whether we like it or not, it's in flow. We can jump in and flow with it or not, but what we're good at doing is building dams. And we build dams when everything is focused 100% on defense and retirement, putting that. I'm not saying don't be irresponsible, but what guides me every single day is this quote from Robert Kiyosaki, where his rich dad, who was actually his friend's father, because Robert's dad was a bureaucrat who said, I don't know how to make money. I'm only focused on playing defense and getting my pension and putting it away. And the quote that he had to say was, he wasn't allowed ever to say, I can't afford that. Instead, he said, when you look at something that you want, say, how can I afford that? It's a small shift, but it is so absolutely important to moving forward, to getting in that flow of prosperity. So that, listen, we've had some big bills come through. We've been traveling and all that. And oh my gosh, it's easy to get scared and you need to play defense. And then you know what happens? I start getting less clients. I start being less creative. I put that block, I build the dam on my prosperity. But if I look at something and say, how can I afford that? It begs an answer. It begs a solution. It begs me to say, I want that, and I'm going to reverse engineer it to put a plan to get there. Now, again, part of that plan might be, well, I got to put some money over here. I'm going to take some money over here. But if you just say, oh my gosh, I got to put money in retirement. I can't afford that. I hate my career. I hate my job. I want to start a business, but I can't afford it because it's irresponsible. You are blocking your prosperity. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. And if you are so focused on why I can't do something, that's what you're going to get. So that Robert Kiyosaki quote to me is such a guiding star on a daily basis.
I love that. And talk to us a little bit about, I'm trying to read comments, keep up. We got Jason Croft checking in. He says, small but powerful ship for sure. As Tony Robbins would say, ask empowering questions and get empowering answers. Love that. Sharon Schaefhauser says, abundance is your natural inheritance. Thank you guys for watching and commenting. That's deep and it means a lot to me. Also, let us know your questions as we're getting into these takeaways. So I think that does bring us to the takeaways. So talk about the 4 pillars of the authority brand, Curt.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, speaking of Tony Robbins, if I was just listening to your voice, you actually sound a lot like Tony Robbins as you said that.
I got to go. I got to deeper, and I got to grow about like a foot and a half.
Yeah. There's that too. Yeah. Yeah. So the 4 pillars of an authority brand, I did take away some skills from having my agency and PR and ad agency and a messaging person. And a lot of people these days, right, because of the tools and techniques, they let that guide them. In the 70s, Marshall McLuhan had a quote that people follow, says, the medium is the message. And so people do that. Oh my gosh, what's the new shiny object? I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to be on LinkedIn. I got to be on Twitter. I got to do ads and all this. And they're guided by the medium. Medium's not the message. The message is the message. And these days, the medium's going to change from year to year, right? So I put together the 4 pillars of the authority brand to guide people. The first pillar is attention. Most people, most business owners start with attention and stop with attention. It's just about getting my message out to the world. And then they do that and they realize, wow, I got addicted to the dopamine rush of likes and views and shares. And I often tell incoming clients, I said, hey, you know what? Take those likes and views and shares, package them up, bring them to the bank and try and deposit them. I've tried. It doesn't work. And they're like, oh my gosh, they laugh, right? So attention is important, right? You got to get attention. But the second pillar is accuracy. Who are your ideal clients? Getting really clear. We work with our clients. We have 10 pages of questions to identify that person. I urge people to take B2B, business to business, and B2C, business to consumer, and take those terms and throw them out the window. All business, all branding, all sales is person to person. Well, Curt, what if I'm selling to a corporation? There's still a person at that corporation, a human being that is going to hire you. It's all about relationships. So I'd rather get, instead of getting 100 views, I'd rather get 2 views from the people who are going to buy from me, the people who want my positive impact. So attention and accuracy, that's the foundation, is your ideal client. And then going from there, it's alignment. Now, what does that mean? A lot of people like to talk about themselves. They think selling is about self-promotion. Hey, what do? And you share your life story, and you do what I like to call is verbally vomit. Your bells, your whistles, your features, your resume, your experience, how wonderful you are. Here's a little secret. No one cares about you. They may love you as a human being. They may have empathy for you. They may want to have a beer on the golf course, but when you ask them for money, they want to know what's in it for me. So you have to align what you do and what you love with what they want from you, not what they need, what they want. Us business owners, we're so smart. We know what our clients need, and we want to verbally vomit. I think you need this. How many people get those LinkedIn emails that say, hey, I was looking at your profile and I think you're in need of my service? Well, you're assuming, you're making a big assumption, right?
Just raising my hand here. I don't know for the folks in the comments if they're raising their hands, but I'm definitely getting those emails. I'm getting the emails.
Yeah.
Hey, let's set up a 30-minute call to talk about how you need our client or sales tool.
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, that's not my problem. That's not my. That's not
And
my
then
issue.
people declare LinkedIn messages don't work. Cold calling doesn't work. I'll make 30 grand this year just off link messages. This month off LinkedIn messages. It's the message. It's not the medium. Yeah. Cold calling doesn't work for people who suck at cold calling. LinkedIn messaging doesn't work for people who like to verbally vomit on people in the messages. So you got to align, what you do, more importantly, with what your clients want, the positive impact they get from working with you, which brings us to the fourth pillar, which is authenticity. Not the fake authenticity you see on social media where people fake keeping it real. They just watched a Gary Vee video, and I love Gary Vee, but Gary Vee is Gary Vee. You're not Gary Vee. And so they just watched a Gary Vee or a Grant Cardone video. And so in their head, they got to be that, and that's authentic. So they're going to drop F-bombs here, there, and everywhere. And you can tell they're being authentically someone else. True authenticity comes through consistency, showing up every single day, being factual, being truthful, communicating that impact message, that positive impact to those ideal clients on a regular basis. By showing up consistently, you start to build that know, like, and trust factor. And people over time will be able to see the ebbs and flows, if they're there, the inconsistencies, right? And if they see that inconsistency, they're going to call BS on you. So it starts with attention. We actually work on attention last, but I start off first with attention because people would say, oh my gosh, you're talking about branding and no attention. We start off branding to make the point that we're showing up with attention. You think it's attention. We're going to work on that last. First, we're going to ideal client accuracy, your impact message, aligning what you do with the impact your clients want, and then authenticity, showing up consistently. And that's where the attention comes in, communicating your impact message on a regular, consistent basis, factually and truthfully to your ideal clients.
I love that. And I want folks that are watching this, if you have questions around attention, what Curt is talking about, getting attention, finding that accuracy in your message, alignment in your message, authenticity in your message, get those questions into the comments. We will follow up with you. We'll try to, if you can get the question in right now, we'll get it answered. This is the time. Take advantage of Curt's time here. All right. And then more specific, your question, the better it'll probably help somebody else, right? So really that specificity in your question is important. If we can help you today, that's an amazing thing for you, and you'll be helping somebody else. Creating your freedom business blueprint. Talk to me about creating your freedom business blueprint here.
Yeah. I mentioned when I woke up on that Tuesday and shut down my business, it was like jumping off the Titanic without a life preserver. I don't want you to have to get there. I'd like you creating that blueprint. Is it just about starting to build the runway? Whether or not you're going to want to fly tomorrow, 5 months, 6 months, 5 years, whatever it is, wouldn't you rather have that runway built when you're ready to fly? So we look at building that runway, and it starts with really identifying what type of business is going to allow you to provide your unique and fulfilling impact, that impact that you really love to provide to the clients you want to work with while empowering the life you want to live. So instead of shoehorning in what type of business you are, we look at everything. We look at alignment instead of balance, which is there's 3 facets. Yeah, there's work, there's the type of business you have, but more importantly, relationships and self-care. What do you want all that to look like? What type of business is going to allow you to live your days where you can do whatever you want? The days that you actually love, where you're present with the people you love. So we identify that, we set that. The first thing we do though, is we zero out. Remember I mentioned that subconscious programming? We work and we have techniques to help you get to zero, to clear out the detritus of the day in the last 40 years, 30 years, 20 years, right? Because you may say, I want to build this business, but.
So what does that look like when somebody's zeroed out? Because I think that, if people are getting a whiff of what that smells like, and I'll just bring Sharon Schaafhausen says, my best tool is tea testing. They get to smell and taste my product. So taking this to tea time with Sharon here, what is zeroed out smell and taste like?
Yeah, there's a couple techniques we use. One of them is simple meditation every morning. But before you get to mindfulness, because you wake up and you're on fire, and we're taught by the hustle and grind pornographers on social media that it's all about motivation and willpower. Well, here's the deal.
I love that. You got to repeat that. That was definitely a mic drop. The hustle and grind pornographers on social media. Say that one more time. I like that.
The hustle and grind pornographers on social media. And here's how I explain it, right? Picture yourself as a mountain stream and you're flowing, and boulders fall in the stream from the mountains. Now, those boulders are life challenges, business challenges. The hustle and grind pornographers would say, good, the boulders are there. Get pumped up, swim up to the boulders, start punching them and headbutting them until you're bloody. And then you do that and you're like, well, I'm not making any progress. And what those hustle and grind pornographers say is, great, buy my online course and I'll motivate you even more because you're weak. Now, here's what I do, and here's what I teach our clients to do. Flow to the right or the left around the boulders. Keep your eye on where you're going and wave at those hustle and grind pornographers while they're bloodying themselves, right? And so to zero out, it starts with zeroing out your mind to get rid of the buts. I want to start this business, but, right? That but is the dam that I mentioned before. That but is the subconscious programming. That but is, oh my gosh, I want to start this business, but is irresponsible. But what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? We get so focused on the how that we don't define the what. So by zeroing out, we have some meditative techniques that we work with. We have something called emotional freedom technique that zeroes out the crap and the detritus that has built up. We work on something, it's an ancient Hawaiian practice called Ho'oponopono, which is about clearing. You clear first. A lot of people meditate to motivate themselves in the morning. I got to get up and I got to go. And it's coffees for closers and I got to have my coffee and I got to go do it. And what they do is they clog the drain with BS. So we zero out to get to zero. Here's another little analogy. You're sitting on your couch and you want a nice, refreshing glass of water. So you go into the kitchen and you look at your favorite mug and it's filled with dirt. Someone was gardening with your mug. Would you just take the nice, refreshing glass of water and pour it on top of the dirt? No, you'd be drinking mud. You got to clean out the dirt first, wash it clearly, then pour the water in. So pouring motivation on top of the dirt creates mud. Pouring just positive thoughts on top of the dirt creates mud. You got to zero it out so you then can fill it in with your deliberate intentions for where you want to go, the prosperous thoughts. And from that, we all have these limiting and bogus beliefs. It goes back to that programming. Beliefs fuel our thoughts. You attach emotions to that, and then you start taking actions that give you the results. It's a simple equation. It is an equation that works. It's working whether or not you want to. So if you have garbage beliefs on the front, you're going to get garbage results. And a lot of people on the hustle and grind pornographers have you focus on the actions only.
Yeah, well, garbage in, garbage out always, right? I mean,
absolutely.
From
100%.
From food to the way that you're thinking. And I think, I think as I'm listening to you, thinking about things, I mean, I think there's things that especially in terms of clearing out, when you sort of get clear and you're saying, all right, this is the goal that I want in the future, and then working backwards from it versus being stuck in the grind of I'm doing this, I'm doing that because I have it on my list and I'm responsible for getting this over here. Is any of that aligned with my long-term goals, where I want to be, what I want my lifestyle to be like? It's really good. Sharon says, I'm too busy listening to him. He's amazing. All right, there you go. And Sharon says, be like water and flow around the obstacles. Thank you, Curt.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And when you flow, be like water was a Bruce Lee quote, right? And he said that he was in his fighting style, he was tense and fighting until he realized that if you try to grab water or punch water, it doesn't punch you back. Right. And so a key martial arts technique is, and it's Newtonian physics. Lao Tzu writes about it in the Tao Te Ching 2,500 years ago. Force begets force. You force something, it's going to push back.
Yes.
If you flow around it, you don't allow that energy to mess with you. And so
and just for like day-to-day business, right? Because you getting deep into like the mysticism of words here, but what does that look like for somebody that's going through their day and they're saying, all right, I want to get into this flow that Curt's talking about. What are they stopping doing and what are they starting doing?
Yeah. I go back to the great philosopher, Bruce Lee. And here's one tip that can get you in a state of flow. They asked him his key to success. And he said, the key isn't in the daily increase. It's in the daily decrease, hacking away at the unessential. And that quote is so key to getting in a state of flow. Why? Well, we have 4 kids here, right? They don't always finish everything on their plate. If they all run to the garbage disposal or the sink and they just start clearing off their plate in the garbage disposal, what happens? It gets clogged. Well, that's what happens, right? We watch social media, we watch our competitors, we listen to society, we listen to I must do it. I've always done it this way. And so we clog our day with inputs that may or may not be important to getting us where we want to go, because we're moving forward instead of doing what you said, which is the reverse engineering. When you set your long-term outcome, desired outcome, and you reverse engineer, that allows you to find the shortest, simplest, straightest line to your outcomes, hack away at the unessentials so you unclog the drain of your day. Well, so-and-so said I have to do this every day. And so-and-so I said I had to build an automated funnel. And so-and-so I said to do that. Okay, great. Look at it. How's that working out for you? Well, it's not. Okay, how about we start unclogging the drain on a regular basis? And
there's so many things that can work, but if you're trying to do 20 things at once, the focus isn't there. Making sure that the work you're actually doing, because somebody can say, well, I focused on this given day, but I didn't actually make any progress. But are you actually working towards a goal that matters? And so getting really clear on that and putting in the homework on that is essential. Talking to me about this final one here, setting your intentions is key, because I think that's what we're down to, right? So we're getting into our day, and what do we actually want to get done with this day? What do we actually want to get done with this week? What do we actually want to get done with this year, right? Setting those intentions.
Every morning I zero out and I get to zero. And how do I do that? I meditate and I literally focus on, how does my toe feel? How does my stomach feel? I focus on my breath. I don't focus on my to-do or my task because I zero out. That allows me to get to zero so I can start filling in the empty vessel with my intentions. When I set my intentions for the day, it's not weasel words like I hope, I wish, I could, I'm going to. My intentions are, I am prosperity. I am a creator. I am attracting the right people to me in business and relationships. I am going to book 3 calls today. I make my future intention my present intention, because while the brain is important and the mind is very powerful, it's kind of stupid.
I want to kind of add some context. I was just reading something the other day, and it was talking about a scientific study where they had these students that were playing basketball, and they conducted an experiment, A group, a B group, and a C group. The A group, they had them practicing, drilling, shooting free throws every day. So the actual practice of it. Then you had the B group that they did nothing related to basketball whatsoever. And then you had the C group where they visualized getting the basketball and the hoop. They just did exercises on visualizing, didn't actually pick up a basketball, but they just visualized getting the basketball and the hoop. And they came back after a period of time, maybe it was a couple weeks, and the A group that actually practiced basketball, they improved by 24%. Cool. The group that was B group, where they didn't do anything related to basketball, they didn't improve at all. And then C group, where they practiced visualizing but not actually have the physical basketball, they improved 23%.
Yeah.
And I just thought, listen, obviously the essential thing is, and the best thing is always, the exercise is the exercise, and you can't replace that. But that's impactful. So what if you're visualizing and you're practicing? I mean, what does that improvement look like? And that's what you're talking about. So I just want to sprinkle some of that context on there.
Absolutely.
I'll let you take it away with that.
Yeah. And there's a couple studies like that are powerful. One actually included, I think it was firefighters and arm strength. Like one group lifted weights, the other group just visualized their biceps. And the people who visualized their biceps actually increased their size and strength. There's even a more powerful study that goes to the heart of this. There was groups of senior citizens. They split them into two, and they brought them to like a retreat center, or it was like a castle or something, right? Now, the first group spent a week in a room that was present day, right? They had regular present day TV, all that stuff. And some of them were in wheelchairs, walkers, and all that. The other group, everything in that retreat center made them feel like it was the 1940s. So like they were kids again. Albums, right? Radio shows, all that, books from the 1940s. So those people were basically marinating in their childhoods. At the end of that week, guess what happened? People who marinated in their childhoods, no more walkers, no more pain. They actually healed their bodies through their mind, because instead of focusing on their aches and their pains and what they're supposed to feel like, and pharmaceutical ads telling them they're one drug away from doing this or a wonder walk or whatever, they marinated in, it's not just positive thoughts, in a new reality. You can create your reality, and it starts up here with your beliefs and your thoughts.
Yeah. And I think for anybody that's listening to that, it's work, like regardless, like I'm sure like with that exercise, you had people that were workshopping with these people, and they had exercises and stuff. And so I found myself sort of in a negative place over the past couple of weeks. And, beginning of this week, I was asking for help. And I think that's where it begins. Because if you are trying to do some of this on your own, and you're just, like you were saying, okay, how's that working out for you? Is it working? And so you have to, when you notice that something isn't working, that the wheels are spinning, you got to change up what's going on.
Yeah. And you mentioned that work, and there's work involved. And here's another little fallacy. Work and effort does not have to equal struggle.
Mm.
And there's a lot of, I'm going to mention this word again, porn. There's a lot of struggle porn out there. Mm. Your struggle is your story. Your struggle is you. No, it's not. It's wonderful if you overcame that struggle. But if you just marinate in it and make everyone think, people on LinkedIn saying, oh my gosh, the struggle is real. And they're so proud that they're sleeping under their desk at WeWork because it's all about the struggle. Well, talk to that person in 6 months. Are they just grinding their wheels? You don't have to struggle. That doesn't take away with you if you did overcome something, but don't self-sabotage and making a self-fulfilling prophecy. A lot of people focus on the hero's journey. The problem with the hero's journey is if you focus on it, you think at some point you're going to have the fall. You don't have to have the fall. It's not a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you do it and you overcome it, that's wonderful. But don't make yourself think you have to, because then it actually can happen.
Well, I think the hero's journey too, because it's such a good method for telling a story.
Right.
But I think people, when telling their story, you can see these folks, right? You see them on social media. I see the people that are swinging for the fences with what they're putting out on social media, and It's, that the effort they're putting in, it just doesn't look sustainable. Like I can see like in a month from now, I'm just not going to hear from this person because they're going to just grind themselves out. There's that piece of it. But in your story, you get to choose whether you're going to be a victim or a victor. And I don't care whatever your story is, you get to choose. Did you learn something? Are you learning something? Or are you a victim that, everything is happening to you?
Right.
Are you happening to the world, or is everything happening to you? I think, it's that subtle glass half full, glass half empty kind of thing, but it's not exactly about optimism. It's about what are you doing right now to change your trajectory versus I got all these problems. Okay, that's great. You have all these problems. And I don't mean to make light of anyone's problems, because we know that there's some people that are suffering out there. There are things that are happening to people. I always go deep dark. First, I was having this conversation in the office today. We were talking about, hearing news reports about different things going on in the area and stuff like that. And whenever that comes into my mind, I'm thinking, there's folks in Ukraine that are worried about tanks rolling over their wall tomorrow. That kind of puts things in perspective. We were talking about perspective before, right? Putting things in perspective. And I think that's a big deal, right? So whatever your problem, whatever your challenge, I'm watching, people on stage, give an inspirational message. The guy doesn't have any arms, doesn't have any legs. I'm just like, if he can get up and do it, if he can get up in the morning, go out and make him clean himself up and get out the door, I shouldn't have a problem doing it myself. Right.
Yeah. And you mentioned victim and victor, and going back to the hero's journey, you don't have to be a victim first in order to be a victor. Right? You're marching along in the field on the way to where you want to go, and you see a pit with a dragon and you feel like hero's journey, this is my chance. And so you jump in to fight the dragon when you could have just kept walking, right? Don't think you have to be a victim. And there is so many things out there that make you think you have to be a victim first. It contributes to imposter syndrome. One of the reasons that, my agency came very easily to me. I made 6 figures in the first 6 months of my agency. I made mid 6 figures, and then 5 years into it, I took it over $1 million. It came easily. All that programming made me think, my dad grew up during the Depression. In the back of my head, you know what it was? Well, Curt, you didn't go through that struggle, so you're lesser. You're an imposter. You didn't jump into the pit with the dragon. You didn't become a victim first. You're privileged. You grew up in suburbia. You went to a private school. Therefore, you don't deserve what you have. Right?
And I think this is such an interesting thing, because I think we wake up and we look at the Beyoncés of the world, the Bill Gates, and we say, oh, we're not that, and you don't know what kind of problems they have. You don't know what kind of stuff they're going through mentally, personally, all that stuff. You just got to live your own journey. I was watching, I think, another Curt on here, Curt Mercadante. He had a post and he was talking about, don't compare your chapter 1 to somebody's chapter 25, the comparison game.
Right.
And I think what you're saying, going, reverse, just because you didn't have a hard life or hard route doesn't mean there's anything less in your accomplishments. I think that's a big, big, big deal.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the books that early on had an impact on me was a 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. And in there, he talks about going to Asia and winning a martial arts competition. And he only trained for 6 months or 3 months or something like that. And he learned the rules of the competition. And it was basically like, if you push or if your opponent steps out of the circle, you score a point. So he didn't become a martial arts master. He just learned how to get the person out of the circle. He won the competition. He went to Asia and won this competition. Everyone is so mad. Well, they set up the rules. He followed the rules. Now, of course, there's something to be said for learning and discipline and becoming the master. But his goal wasn't to become a master. It was to win the competition. He didn't have to struggle. He's like, listen, I read the rules. You set up the rules. This is what I'm going to do. He didn't feel like an imposter. People wanted him to feel like an imposter. You mentioned Bill Gates. Now, I know Bill Gates, people can love him or hate him. But I've seen people downplay what he's done in terms of Microsoft, et cetera, else, because he grew up to a well-to-do family. Why does it matter? Why does it matter? Are we judging people on the inputs or the outcomes? Me, I like to judge myself on the outcomes because when we judge it on the inputs, that's where imposter syndrome comes in. That's when we clog our day with inputs. Where you started, that's great. If you overcome, like you said, it doesn't downplay anyone's problems.
Well, you can give people, and I know a little bit about Bill Gates' story, so I'll use him as an example. And I know he, was born at a good time in the moment where he had access to a computer lab and he was able to go in, and that's, all a part of his story. But you can give somebody all the tools. Matter of fact, most of us have all the tools. We got libraries. We got these magic little devices in our hands these days that give us just incredible reach. Listen, it's not my fault if you don't use it. It's not my fault if you don't use the library. It's not my fault if you don't get on YouTube or you spend your time on YouTube watching something crazy and silly that isn't adding value to you versus watching something. We're talking about Tony Robbins. I've listened to Tony Robbins. I've never been to a paid course, but I've taken Tony Robbins information off of YouTube. I've gotten a lot of value from it. Incredible value.
I do podcasts like these, live streams like these, and I have people who comment from time to time and say, well, you just sound privileged. Yeah, I am privileged. And guess what? You're watching a live stream. You're privileged too. In fact, if you are dirt poor in America, you're more privileged than the great majority of the world when you talk about context. Now, that doesn't take away anything. But what it says is, Cameron, if I am so focused on your privilege and I get worked up about that and I marinate and Cameron is so privileged and what was he saying? How does that help me? How does that get me where I want to go? The answer is it doesn't. And I know some people are so programmed that they're going to respond to this and say, now you sound privileged. Okay, I am. Yes, I admit it. I grew up in suburbia. I went to a Catholic school. What are you doing with what you have? Teddy Roosevelt has one of my favorite quotes. Do what you can with what you have wherever you are.
I love
Get it done. Don't worry about other people. Worrying about other people in the social media world is so common. Tune out the noise and focus on that signal of yours.
Yeah, I love it. Do what you can with what you have. I mean, I see so many people that are killing it with half the equipment, half the resources, if not less than what I have. And so it just speaks to, listen, if you got the time and you can put it in, I mean, there's so many different ways to hit it. And that doesn't mean that need to do anything by yourself. There's people that you can reach out to. And I was just talking to a gentleman yesterday who's part of the LinkedIn Accelerator program. And so, if you're looking for help, you're looking for a step up, there's like applications, right? You can apply for these programs too. And so sometimes it's tough. And one of my passions in life, my big passion in life is providing opportunity and education. Doing a show like this gives you the ability to provide that guidance to somebody that just doesn't know, right? They just don't understand or just haven't been informed. I've been in part of the college and career preparatory thing for over 25 years now. And so I've listened to poor parents and rich parents alike, be in conversations where they're like, I don't know where to send my child. I don't know what's the best thing. And so we have a lot of the same worries no matter where we are, and the access to information, it's just so much coming at you. It's difficult to know where to go, where to get what you need. There's so many different paths in life. There's so many things that we're tracking, financial information, which is such a big deal. Like, where do you put your money? What do you do with your money? And so, going back to our takeaways today, right? Zero out, right? Focus on what the goal is and let that guide you, because you can go in a million different directions and let yourself be discombobulated by every little thing, be emotional about and upset about the politics of the moment. Listen, focus on your game, contribute where you can contribute. If you're fighting the political fight, man, God bless you. Like, communities need help. People need help all over the place. If you're able to provide that, but also take those mental health breaks, right? I love, you talking about your story. I was serving people. I was in my business. People were relying on me, and I had to take a moment and say, what's best for me, what's best for my life, what's best for my family, and let me make decisions based on that. And I think, if people are doing that all over the place, it's a better world
Yeah.
all over, right?
Yeah. It's easy to think, and there's some programming that says this, that individuals are subsets or cogs in the community machine. And it's the reverse. It's that strong communities are made up of strong individuals. And when I do workshops, I put up on the screen, self-care is self blank. And people reflexively say, selfish. No, self-care is actually selfless. You're no good to your wife, your kids, if you're dead. You're no good to your clients if you're dead, right?
So
If you're
true.
sick and dead.
So
And I have
true.
some clients that are like that. They had to take weeks off because of sickness that could have been avoided if they practiced more self-care. Well, when you take that time off, you're not bringing in money for your family. You're not bringing in money for your clients. You're not doing all those things. So yeah, individualism does not equal greed, does not equal hedonism, all that. It can, but it doesn't reflexively equal that.
All right. So I'm going to say this because you sparked it in my brain. And I thought this is one of those things, right? You talk about sports players and people love throwing sports analogies at business, and I'll chime in there. But, you got players that have these amazing records, the folks that show up consistently. And one of the things that builds is these stats, right? And so if you think about yourself in your business, and people have put it lots of different ways. I had Glenn Lundy on the show that talks about, the 5 things that you need to do in the morning to get up. And, if I'm on with Curt and I'm on with Glenn, it's not, these things, these aren't opposing views, right? Everybody can bring something. And I love doing the interview with Glenn because he was talking about being a part of, he got pulled into, what's the Scientology. And he was pulling information out of there. And, he's not a Scientologist now, but he was like, I gained valuable information and insight from being a part of that. And so you pull from all these different sources and you make yourself a better person. But this idea that if you want great results, it's that consistency, that ability to show up every day. And how do you show up every day? You know what your goals are, you know what your priority is, you know what your intention is, you know how to get there, you know how to take care of yourself so that you can show up for every game and add to that stat meter and have longevity. Talking about, you're talking about the older folks, being in their young selves and forgetting about the aches and the pains. And I know people that are happy are more productive. And so if you can make yourself, and I love that you brought up the 4-hour work week. So if you can spend less time on things that you hate and more time on the things that you love, man, you're going to get so much more done in this world, whether that's in business, with your family, with friendships, across the board, right? If you're a happier person, which means you're focusing on the things that you're excited about, you're going to get a lot more done. Really, really great insights, Curt. Talk to folks, tell them where they can find you, where they can find the book, and how they can connect with you.
Yeah, if you go to curtmercadante.com, it's a long name, but you can see it there on the bottom of the screen. You can find out more about me, but I'm going to do something that most people don't do because I actually like having conversations with people I can help. I'm going to give you my text number, my cell number, 928-275-1511, 928-275-1511. Call me, text me. If there's anything that piqued your interest, if you'd like to learn more how I can help you build more freedom and fulfillment and do it without the grind, give me a call, send me a text. Let's chat.
I have to get one question in from Sharon. She said, ask Curt, and maybe you understand this, clarity was missing. Ask Curt, clarity was the missing element in the secret, the quote unquote secret.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the things missing in The Secret was, and a lot of people take away the wrong thing, is the last word of the word attraction. So the law of attraction is action. So you have to take action. The clarity comes, I have a lot of people join my boot camps, my Freedom Business Blueprint boot camp, and they say, well, I lack clarity. They actually don't lack clarity. They lack coherence. They have the ideas there. They know where they want to go, but they've built a dam of limiting beliefs. And so they think they don't have permission to go after it. So they actually need coherence. And coherence, if you look at light waves, Coherence is a laser beam where everything, your focus, your action, your thoughts are coherently going toward that goal. Lack of coherence is more like a light bulb, a diffuse light bulb that goes everywhere. So I don't know the full context of your question, but the secret in terms of having that clarity, it's important. But it starts with your beliefs, focusing on those thoughts that are your creative intentions that will fuel deliberate action. And that's where the coherence comes in. And so I have a lot of people who think they lack clarity, but what they actually lack is coherence. I don't know if that answered the question, but
well, hopefully Sharon will get into the comments and she'll follow up with us in the comments or directly.
Yeah.
Curt, man, this is amazing. Let everybody know where they can go one more time, and I'll play us off with the Biz Dev thing. Thank you, sir.
CurtMercadante.com, or send me a text. Call me 928-275-1511, 928-275-1511. Cameron, your audience, thank you so much for allowing me to spend a portion of your day with you.
You're awesome, Curt. Thank you.
Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time, live. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration, Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. Business development, not even selling it. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is business development, not even selling it. Biz Dev Live, Biz Dev Live. This is business.